Hey, it's Dave here. Welcome to the fourth video on our discussion as to why people choose not to tend to run things like stool tests. Now, this is a big one. It's probably the biggest objection that we encounter when people inquire about running testing at home. And it is cost. You know, this is the big one. This is the huge one. So money and health have an interesting relationship. So interesting, in fact, that I'm not going to talk about it fully in this video, but I'm just going to ask a few questions for you. So the first question I want to ask really is, if you are feeling unwell now, I presume you wouldn't be watching this video if you were feeling in tip-top condition. But if you're not feeling very well now, whatever those symptoms may be, whether it's low energy, digestive problems, mood changes, difficulty sleeping, skin problems, problems with your sex life or your menstrual cycle or whatever it might be, what is the financial value of waking up tomorrow morning if I had a magic wand and I just said, oh, you're going to get well overnight and you're going to wake up tomorrow and everything's going to be perfect? What would the financial value of that improvement actually be to you? What would you give somebody if they could absolutely guarantee that tomorrow morning you would wake up completely symptom-free, jump out of bed, ready to go, no aches and pains, no digestive problems, optimal energy, and all of those different things? That's a challenging question, right? Because most people are never asked that question. We are programmed to value solid, hard, touchy-feely items like cars and houses and computers and mobile phones and books and shoes and shirts and all of those different things. But we are never actually asked to subjectively value our own well-being. And so I'm going to leave you with that question. I'm then going to ask you another question. If you feel in your mind that you can't afford to run testing and pay for it yourself, or you can't afford to have somebody help you through the process of healing, hold your hand through that process, interpret the lab results, make the recommendations and things, let's flip the question and ask whether you can afford not to have that particular service or those products. And that's an interesting question as well. So rather than asking, can I afford this? Can I afford not to? And the reason we ask, or I ask myself, can I afford not to keep checking my health and making sure I'm okay, is figure out, well, what do I want to achieve in life? And what's the cost of me not achieving what I want to achieve? Am I at risk of losing my job? What's the level of productivity like? Am I so grumpy and down on myself that it's affecting my relationship with my partner, with my spouse, with my children, with my family, with my work colleagues, etc.? Are these symptoms stopping me from living the life that I want to lead? And so what's the financial value of making sure that all of those things are repaired and optimized as well? So not just the physical feeling that I have within my body, but what about the financial value of making sure that my relationships, my productivity, my job, my income, my leisure time are all optimized and looked after as well? And then I think it's also worth asking the question, if I do not take action and run these kinds of tests and hire somebody to help me work through this process, will my symptoms improve over time if I don't take any action, or will they deteriorate over time? Now, absolutely, sometimes people can just seemingly have these spontaneous and miraculous recoveries, and for some reason they just wake up one day and they do feel better. But most of the time, I'm sure you'll agree that the answer is the longer you leave it, the worse the symptoms are going to be. And then you've got to ask yourself, well, how much will it cost me to fix them if I leave them another 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Will it cost me more or will it cost me less? Given the fact that there's inflation and things, the cost of everything's going to go up, and you're probably going to have more things to deal with if you don't take action as well. So these are all little questions that in my own life I've found really helpful to ask myself anytime I've been thinking about spending money on lab testing, supplements, and even coaching in certain areas of life where I feel I need coaching, such as business coaching and mentoring and things like that as well. What's the cost of me not taking action versus the cost of me taking action? And usually the cost of taking action now is quite short term and it's a limited cost. But the cost of not taking action and thinking about where your life might be in 10 years, 20 years time, that usually has a hell of a lot more cost attached to it. Okay, now I hope that's been helpful. I hope it's asked a few questions that you may not have asked yourself previously. My intention is not to patronize you in that regard. Taking no action is a perfectly legitimate decision. Nobody's forcing you to buy any testing or run services, go and work with naturopaths, nutritionists and things like that. It's ultimately your decision, but you've got to make that decision, in my opinion, based on asking yourself quality questions and not getting caught out further down the line. And if it's any consolation, what we do when we sell our initial stool testing and consultation packages is we offer a money-back guarantee on the cost of the test. If that test comes back and it just doesn't really show anything, and we don't want you feeling like you've wasted your money, and so if it comes back and it doesn't show anything, then we refund the value of the test. And we do that without any problem at all. Now and again we do that. I think in 2018 I refunded 2 people because they just didn't really see the value of doing the test. But that's 2 people out of many hundreds of people, so it's a very, very small number of people who are unhappy with the results that they receive. In the last video of this series, we're going to talk about the idea of fear, and not fear, being necessarily overtly scared and panicky, but fear of having to give things up. So if your stool test comes back, or any of the other tests that come back in your medley of tests that you might run on yourself, things that you might have to give up. Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to go out with my friends anymore, or oh my God, the kids are going to hate it if I have to eat this way. Those kinds of things that just in the back of the mind can get in the way of you running the tests, taking the action steps that you need to take to feel better. So hopefully this video has been helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again on the next one. Thank you.